This is the first image that we're going to use in our tutorial about sky replacement. It's a pretty neat looking image just the way it is, but we're going to see how we can change it. We're going to go up to Edit, Sky Replacement. And I had picked this sky before I started this tutorial because I kind of liked the way it looked. And it really gives the image a pretty dramatic feel. So I'm just going to click OK to save this sky replacement. And over here you'll see that it created a sky replacement group. I'm just going to click on this little arrow just to close up the group to make everything look less cluttered. The next thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to take the image, I'm going to click on Image, Image Rotation 180 degrees to turn it upside down. Next, I'm going to click on Edit, Sky Replacement, so that the program puts the same sky into the water. Typically though, especially in this case, it's a pretty dramatic change. I think it's way too strong for what we want, but we can fix that. I'm going to click OK. And then over here in the new sky replacement group that was created, I'm going to double click and change the name to water so I know which one is which. I'll then go back into Image, Image Rotation 180 degrees to turn the image right side up. And you can see the reflection in the water is pretty intense. So there's a way to make it less intense. If you go up here, you make sure that the layer that says water is selected. And up here there's an item that says opacity, and that's the strength of this particular layer. If you put your mouse over the opacity word, it turns into a scrubby slider. So to lower the opacity, you just click on it with the left mouse button and drag it to the left, and you'll see the intensity decrease. I think for this image we're going to probably want to get it down somewhere around 60. But really it becomes a matter of personal taste. And that's for you to decide which is best. Now a lot of purist photographers feel that doing something like this is not right. But as an artist, I'm perfectly fine with it. Once you've gotten this far, the next thing you want to do before you save the photo is to flatten the layers. So you go up here where it says Layer, Flatten Image. Then you can go ahead and save this save this image as a TIFF or a JPEG, whichever you want. And I've said this before, if you're not going to keep opening this picture and modifying it, it's perfectly fine to save it as a JPEG. If you intend to come back in and do more things to it, then I would suggest saving it as a TIFF file or a Photoshop file or something like that. So this is the next image that we're going to do a sky replacement on, and this is our Sleepy Hollow lighthouse. And sometimes you can change the sky without having to do any work on the water. In this case, I'm going to do Edit, Sky Replacement. And I've picked a sky that is kind of interesting looking, but really isn't going to require any reflections in the water. So in this case, I'm just going to do OK. I'm going to close up my little sky replacement group, and I'm going to do Layer, Flatten Image, and then I'm going to save the file as a TIFF file or a JPEG or a Photoshop file. The choice is all yours. There are places where sky replacement doesn't work so well. I'm going to use this 360-degree panorama, and I'm going to replace the sky in it. So I'm going to do Edit, Sky Replacement. I'll let it do its work, and you'll see that once it has completed, it will do a very nice job of replacing the sky. The problem is that once I go to create a tiny planet out of this, it doesn't work so well. And to save the time of creating it, I've already done it. And this is what the tiny planet will look with that particular sky replacement. I mean, it's really makes the image unusable. So another option would be to use this image, create a tiny planet, and then do sky replacement on the tiny planet. So let's do edit, sky replacement, using the same sky that we just used. And you can see that the results are much better. Now, this is a hit and miss situation, so you're just going to have to practice with your images and see which ones look good with this and which ones don't. Here is another image for our sky replacement tutorial. And in this one, I'm going to use a sky that is going to produce a more muted effect in the water. We're going to do edit, sky replacement, and I selected this particular sky, and you'll see what it does to the image. I kind of like it, so I'm going to do OK. I'm going to close my little group folder, and then I'm going to do image rotation 180 degrees so that we can get a reflection in the water. And then I'll do edit, sky replacement. All right, so I'm going to do OK. I'm going to come over here and close this little group, double click on it, and just change the name to water. Now I'm going to do image rotation 180 degrees. Now to see the effect on the water, all you have to do is click this little eyeball here, which turns that layer on and off. So this is off, and this is on. You could probably take the opacity and drop it a little bit for this, but it's a really subtle effect in the water. And if I change it now at 57%, you can see it's there, but it's pretty subtle. So I think that this would work for this particular image. I think maybe the only thing that I might have an issue with here is the post on the bridge gets covered up a little bit with the water, but I think it's okay. So in this case, we would end up flattening the image and saving it. But before we do that, I want to show you something that you could run into, and I want you to be aware of it. I'm going to delete these two layers. There is one other issue that I would like you to be aware of when using sky replacement. Some of the skies have other items at the bottom of the sky image. And in some cases there's trees there. In one case I saw a couple of snow-covered mountains. So I'll give you an example of the sky that has the trees in it. And if you look at the lower part of this little thumbnail there, you'll see the trees, and here they are, right here and right here. So I don't really think you'd want to use that as your sky replacement. So it's just something to keep in mind. So that's all I have. That's the end of this tutorial, and I hope that you enjoyed it.